Well, hi, everyone. Thank you for joining this presentation. As Sylvia mentioned, I'm coming to you from San Francisco, specifically my apartment. So if there is some background noise, I do apologize. I live on a pretty busy street. What we're going to go through today is I'm just going to hop into a demo of what teachers see when they're in Clever and the various things that they can do when they're in Clever to set up resources for their students, manage their classrooms, and actually find new resources that their students can use. I'm going to show specifically where a teacher can add a link to their Zoom meeting or to their Zoom URL. I'm not going to go into the Zoom functionality specifically though. So if you do have questions about that, please hold them until later because I won't know the answer to a lot of them. But I'll try and answer any Clever Zoom related or how they kind of are working together questions as I go through. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So, and just totally, transparent with everyone here, this is a demo account. So it's, not going to look exactly like what a teacher at Tucson Unified would see. You guys are using, no, you're not going to get my opinion. You guys are using a different subset of applications than my fake teacher is using. So just, bear that in mind if teachers have questions about different things in Clever. So first things first, when a teacher logs in, this is the landing page that they see. I call it the homeroom. At the top of the page, they'll see teacher pages, and I'm going to go into how you create those and what they look like internally. But they're essentially places for teachers to compile resources that are then accessible to the students. And on the student end, they log into Clever. They see something not totally different from what the teacher sees. They see these icons, and then they see kind of similar looking icons for their teachers' pages. So what that would look like is I'm a student, I log in, I'm being taught by Ms. Smith. I'll see a little icon, similar to this that says Ms. Smith's teacher page. I click on that and I can see all of the resources that she has set up for me. These differ from the resources that have been set up by the district. So if I'm a teacher, I log in like I'm in now and I scroll down, I can see all of these things that have been set up for me at a district level. And for you guys are probably well aware, for you guys, this would be things like Success Maker, iExcel, Imagine Learning. Those have all been set up already at a district level. So teachers can see them by scrolling through their teacher page. You also might notice at the top, there's 4 different teacher pages just on my demo page. But if I click district page, this is where I can see everything that the district has set up for me. So that's pretty cool. Students additionally will be able to see all the applications that they need in their portal as well. That's already there for them too. So if a student needs access to iExcel, they log into Clever and they'll see a little iExcel icon, when they scroll through their portal too. So teachers can favorite resources, which is pretty cool. If you hover your mouse over a resource, there's a little heart. So I'm going to go ahead and favorite this one, and you can see it just pops up here, which is nice. I can also search for my applications here. Yeah, ClassKick, I have a link and a application, and then I can also search for my students. So I need to find out more information about Arthur. I can actually search for him and his name will pop up, which is pretty cool. So what I'm going to go into now is I'm going to show you more about the teacher pages. And again, this is a place to compile resources and then share them with the students. Right now in Clever, we don't have a way of communicating directly with students. It wasn't, kind of what we initially intended with this setup for teachers. I will say that with our, in light of everything that's going on recently, we are working really hard to support distance learning better. And we are going to release something where teachers can communicate with students soon, but it won't be like a video chat or anything like that. Please use like Zoom or Teams or those kinds of tools to communicate with your students. So like I mentioned, these teacher pages will show up for students when they log into Clever. But what does that actually mean? When I'm a teacher, my classes in Clever are actually sent over by Synergy. So if I'm the teacher of record, I'm going to see all of my students that, I'm the teacher, or all of my students in the classes where I'm the teacher of record. So let's say I want to set up some resources for one of my classes. What I can do is click Add and then Page, and then you'll see I have a brand new page. You might notice here it says only you can see this page, you can give students access to. By default, the pages are not shared with anyone, or any of the students, I should say. If if a teacher wants to just compile some resources for themselves, whether that be links or they want to try out applications before they send them over to the students, they can do that here and the students will not see this page. But as I mentioned, I want to set up something for my students. So I would click Edit Student Sharing. I can choose to make this page visible to all of the students I teach, or I can say I just want it for a subset of my students. So I'm going to make this page just visible to my kindergarten reading class. So I can save that, and you'll notice right away, we've got some changes. On the left-hand side, you're seeing a list of names. Those are your students in that class. This little red circle means that the student is actually not logged in right now. It will turn into a green circle when the student is logged in. So right now in Clever, teachers can only see if a student is logged in at the same time as the teacher. This was obviously intended, we're in the classroom together, I'm a teacher, I need to see who's actually logged in and on task. Again, in light of distance learning, we're releasing a new feature that'll be out at the latest April 6th. And teachers will be able to see if a student has logged into Clever within the last week. And that will be on kind of a different page. So the layout on the homeroom is going to change a little bit, but we hope that's helpful for when people are thinking about distance learning. Okay, so I can see right now none of my students are logged in. Maybe they need some help getting in. One thing I can do as a teacher that's pretty cool is I can actually print out QR codes for my students. We call them Clever badges, and they can be used to log into Clever on any camera-enabled device. So if I'm a student, I hold up my little QR code to the camera, and then I'm actually logged into Clever without having to enter in a username or password. So what's pretty neat is teachers can actually print them out for their entire class or download them for their entire class. Again, in light of distance learning, we're working on a way for parents to be able to do that as well. That is not released right now, but that's coming in the next couple of weeks. So right now, teachers have that ability to download these QR codes. They can get them to students using secure channels. So we're basically saying not email. If they want to use Remind or something like that, they're welcome to do so. You just wouldn't want to email it because it is technically a password. So that's one thing I can do to make sure my students can get into Clever and then access the resources they need. Let's say just one of my students, just Adriana, is struggling to get into Clever. I can click on her name and then I have some options. I can download a badge for her, or let's say she lost her badge. I can void it and then I can print a new one. I can generate a backup login code. So this is a one-time use code. It's viable for 20 minutes. The student can plug that in and be logged into Clever. Ignore the reset student password. This is a demo account and that's just something I have to have there so that I can log in. And then I can also see information for the student. So I can see, what's their primary school and then if they have any guardian information in Clever as well. So these are all the tools that teachers have available to them to get students into Clever. They also have tools available to them to get students into the resource that they want them to using, and then also log them out. One thing I'm going to show you right now, and then I'm going to go back to some of the classroom management stuff, is how to actually add a link in Clever. So in the teacher page, I click on this add, and then link, and you'll see this little modal pops up. I can paste any URL here. So one thing Clever can't do right now is you can't upload documents or videos or pictures. You can't really upload anything to Clever, but you can certainly put a URL to anything that's on the internet in Clever. So this is where we would want teachers to put their Zoom links. whether they create meetings for their different classes in Zoom and then have, different links going in different teacher pages, or they use like their one custom URL and put that in here. Either way, we would want them to put the link onto the teacher page. That will be a different link than the Zoom icon that they would see on their main page. So a little bit confusing, but in practice, this is what we need to do because the students are not and should not get accounts. They just need the link to access the teacher meeting that's been set up through Zoom. So they would put that here. I'm not going to use my Zoom link because, yeah, that would be confusing. So I'm going to say a different example that I like to have is, this is my kindergarten reading class. So I want, I want a video about, not ABC News. I'm going to stick with my tried and true. I want to do a project about dinosaurs. And I really want them, ooh, Dino Directory A to Z, cool. So we're gonna do a project about dinosaurs and I want my students to see a link to some resources about dinosaurs. So what I can do is find this link that I found online, which is very cool. I copy that in there. I put it right here. I can then call the link something, Dino Dictionary. Right now I only have one category, so I'm gonna keep it at that. And then I can also upload a picture. So if I wanted to take a picture of this and upload it here, I can do that. And then I have a nice, I'm not going to do that right now though, but then I have a nice little link that has been added to my teacher page, and therefore my students can see this resource as well. Let's say I want to have different categories for my students to check out, right? I have some resources that are related to reading, some that are related to this dinosaur project. I can actually call this, oops. I can actually create different categories in Clever. And I can do that by going here to, and creating a new category as well. Let me call this reading. I'm gonna leave that there for right now. Another thing teachers can do here is they can actually change the name of their page. So if I wanted to call this kindergarten class or something like that, I can call it that. I can change the byline here, and then I can also personalize my little icon. You can also upload a picture there as well. So you can upload your Bitmoji if that's what you I've definitely seen a lot of that. So I mentioned that we have tools to get students into Clever, students out of Clever, but then also into the resource that you want them to be using. You can do this by clicking Launch an App. Once I click that, I click on the link, and what will happen, or I click on the, whichever app I want to be launched. What will then happen on the student side is they will be immediately, the link or the application will open in a new tab, and the student will be immediately redirected to that. So if you have a lot of students who maybe aren't following directions, and you really want everyone to be going into the same thing at the same time, you can just launch that application and they'll go directly there. So hopefully that's really helpful to teachers and trying to make sure they're wrangling their classrooms. Another thing I want to point out in terms of classroom management is we also have this classes tool. These are, again, just the classes populated by Synergy. You have a lot of the same, launch an app, log a class out, some of that same classroom management stuff available. If I click on them again, you're going to see familiar things like whether or not the student is logged in and get a backup code. These pages and these classes are not seen by students, and they are not a place to compile resources. So they're truly just classroom management, whereas the teacher pages are classroom management plus they can be seen by the students and they can be used to consolidate and compile those resources. Okay, so that's the teacher pages and classroom management tools. Another thing I want to show you guys is the Clever Library. So the Clever Library is a place for teachers to actually add applications for their students to Clever and to their teacher pages in Clever. These are not, again, like the big district-wide applications. For the most part, there are a couple of exceptions. Sorry, there's a truck going by. So that you would not find, for example, Success Maker in there, or you would not find iExcel, and that those are not the kinds of applications that are in there. This is a subset of about 140 applications who are worked with Clever. And they basically, the teacher goes into the library, chooses an application to connect with, and student accounts are actually set up in that application. So on the student side, they log into Clever, they click on the teacher page, and then they click on the application they want to access, and they're logged into their own account in that application that's all been set up by the teacher. Again, this isn't any resource out there. This is just this subset of 140 applications that are working with Clever. If you want access to different resources that you're not seeing in the library, then I would say, go ahead and add that as a link. Okay, so if I click on the library, this time it will work, which is great. You can see here are some of the applications that are available to teachers. So let's say, I'm interested in setting up, let's say, Duolingo for my classroom. Teachers will see a write-up of this application. They'll see a little sneak peek. They'll also see how many other teachers are using it through Clever. The pricing model, which is really important. Applications in the library are either free, just like Duolingo, completely free, freemium, where you can pay to upgrade certain features, or free trial. So that's, good to note. And I definitely recommend that teachers, go and check it out in the library before, downloading it. You can also see what's really nice is teacher reviews. So these are all people and all teachers who have actually used this application through Clever. So, if you're not sure about a certain resource, you can go ahead and check it out here too, see what other people are saying. So what I can do to set it up on my teacher page and therefore make it available to my students is I can click on the page and then click update, and it will install on my page. Now I've actually already installed Duolingo on a page before. So if I were going to do one that was completely new, I'm going to go ahead and, let's say I want to look at something for my high school students. Maybe Edulastic is really cool. Who knows? Got some good reviews. I can then click install. It'll then show me, what kind of data is going to be available to Edulastic through this, and then ask me what page or pages I want to set this up for. So you can set it up for all of your pages. You can set it up just for one page, totally up to you. And then I would click allow and continue. I'm not going to do that right now. And you can see, here the pricing model is different, and here's some reviews of what's going on here. So what that will look like on the back end is I go back to my teacher page, I click on my class. Which one did I log it to? I think this one. Yeah, and now you see Duolingo is there because I installed it to that page. Let's say I no longer want to use Duolingo. I can just click edit on the application and click uninstall. See you later, Duolingo. Another way I can add applications to my account is, let's say for my kindergarten class, I really want to have a reading application here. And this lower right-hand corner add button, I can click app. And then I can click, let's say I like who's reading. I'll be redirected to the library. And then I can choose, again, what page I want to install it on. And then it'll be added to a page. Then you'll see here, it's added to this page, and I can actually drag it into my reading category, and I don't want that newly added category. Okay, so that pretty much sums up what teachers can do in Clever. Just as a little reminder, they'd add their Zoom link by choosing a specific page and then clicking add and then clicking link.